Hello, parents and guardians. Thank you for joining us tonight. I have Claire Smith, PK6 principal, and Kobe Hahn, 712 principal, here with us tonight. If you've joined us before, you can ask questions or put comments up, and we can bring them up while we're going. So feel free to do that as we go through our presentation. When we want to bring up a question or there's a good stopping point, we can bring up the comments like that into our screen. So I'm going to get started. We have a couple slides to go over, then we're going to get to some next steps for us. And then at any time we can answer your questions, so feel free to put them in. So I wanted to start with really, how did we get to this point? And going way back, it seems like a long time ago, even though it's only a couple months to August and when we're planning this, because I think our planning steps still are dictating why we are doing some of the things that we're doing. And so really the first steps back in August, we needed to make it as safe as possible for our faculty and staff and students to come back. We prioritized in-school learning for our youngest and most vulnerable students. We really wanted to limit the mask wearing during the day. We wanted students to be able to move around. We were not going to take special area classes off the table, so we wanted to leave those in, and we've done a good job of that. And one of the things that we talked about briefly, and now that we look back, the setting of goals for the school year. And I know I'll talk about a little bit, and Mr. Hahn and Mrs. Smith will as well. We have to be very careful on the goals that we set for ourselves, our faculty and staff, and our students. This is not a normal year. We will do a lot of amazing work, but we have to be careful that we're not trying to compare this year to years past or years going forward. So we all have to be patient and kind to ourselves and everybody else in what we are actually going to be able to do this school year. I'm sure everybody kind of knows where we are right now in Steuben County. So I wanted to bring this up because we opened not knowing how the school year was going to go with cases in school and out of school, and kind of what the local area was going to do with regards to positive COVID-19 cases. And I put this up because we can see April, right after we shut down, we had about 148 new cases in Steuben County. It flattened out. We weren't in school. Businesses were closed down or at lesser capacity. So we really flattened out. September in Steuben County, we jumped up to about 149 new cases. But what we can see now is that in the month of October, in the first 10 days, we've had 191 new cases in Steuben County. So we are at 660 total cases. So this month of October, we've seen more new cases in Steuben County than any other part of the point in the school year. And I bring this up because we are open. We're still bringing students in, but this is a good refresher for us that all of the things that we put in place for the beginning of the school year need to stay in place, because I believe we've had a successful start of the school year because of the precautions we put in place. And it's no time to kind of ease up at this point, especially with the uptick in cases. So how we're going to go through this, this next steps presentation is we took all the feedback from parents, guardians, teachers, students, faculty, and staff, and kind of broke it down into. So we pulled out all of the comments that were most directly related to or were scored by parents and guardians. So this is a parents and guardians specific discussion. So we're going to, each of us I'll talk at the district level. Mrs. Smith will talk at the PK6 level. Mr. Hahn will talk at the 712 level about what practices are going well and need to continue. That's the go. The slow, what are there any small tweaks or anything that we should be considering for the future? And then the stop or the red are anything that either needs really re-clarification of purpose or maybe some modifications. So it's that go, slow, and stop. That's how we're going to break it down. So I'll jump right in. Again, feel free, if you're just joining us, to put any questions or comments in your Facebook chat or the YouTube chat. If we're going to get to a question, I might not pull it right up, but please know that we're not ignoring your comment. So we'll start at the district level. What are those green things, the goes, that we need to continue and maybe reinforce? So the first one right off the bat is that the attitude and flexibility of everyone, parents, teachers, and students, has been awesome. And I couldn't agree with that comment anymore. And I bring it up only because we need to continue with that. We had a closure, the one-day closure, September 21st. We were ready for it, but I don't think we were ready system-wide for it, but we were not ready maybe emotionally. We don't know what's going to be thrown at us in the coming weeks and months. That attitude and flexibility, please keep it up, because it's been appreciated on our end. The second one, mask wearing. I can say we have had almost no issues with mask wearing from students, faculty, staff, and anybody coming in the building, and I appreciate that. And I like the second part of that comment as well, because you talk about how we did build in the breaks at desks. And morning check-in. I think if there's one thing I'm super proud of, and I gotta give some credit to Mr. Hahn and Mrs. Smith and Mr. Pollinger, is that we changed our morning and afternoon check-in procedure really quickly. It was not smooth the first couple of days, but you guys stayed patient, and now I'm pretty proud of what we do. We get it in and out, and I actually had a teacher who said, can we stick with it next year? Because it's actually smoother with the end of the day than it was last year. So I'll take that as a win. So some of the things that we need to, at a district level, think about and put some more planning into. Number one, we had a lot of thoughts around the cafeteria and spacing with our barriers and students, peeking around. Do we have enough space? So we're going to, at the district level, and I know Mrs. Smith and Mr. Hunter have actually even started this already, reinforcing the rules at lunch about what we expect from our students. So we know we need to do work there about our lunches. Next one, I'm concerned about the abrupt disruptions in schedule when school needs to be closed down quickly. So I think this was in reference to that September 21st closure. We have talked about what we do in the case of closures, whether that's 1, 2, 3, 4 days, or even longer. It's the district's responsibility to make sure that we're pushing that information out again to all of you, so you know what those plans are. We have them. We talked about them a month ago, and nowadays a month can seem like 2 years. So we got to get that information back out about closures. And I would like more photos to see what it's like during the kids' day as far as mask wearing, social distancing. 2 things. Number one, we actually just started a district Instagram account where we are posting a picture a day of students, PK through 6. So we alternate between elementary students, then high school students every other day. But that's a great place. They are pictures we're taking right now, and we're really trying to show you what's going on with our students. So number one, look up the Instagram account. And 2, we know we haven't had an open house. We have parent-teacher conferences coming up. So that is something that we have to look at as far as getting information out. And so this one, we know we don't have a lot of good answers right now, but we are thinking about it, and we need to do a better job of sharing what's going on during the school day. So the stops, what we need to talk about here. So our first comments, sending kids home with this one symptom and requiring a doctor's note. 2 reasons I bring that up. I really wanted to make clear that practice has to continue. This isn't a district choice. This is a state requirement. So anytime a student, faculty, or staff has a symptom, they must leave and go to the doctors. So that's number one. I wanted to reinforce the fact that we don't have a choice. Number two, in relationship to the doctor's appointment, we just got clarification from the state regarding what has to happen now at the doctor's office. If someone goes to the doctor's office, they cannot simply get a generic doctor's note saying these two things specifically, an upper respiratory illness or stomach issues. Those two things, we cannot accept a general note. Those two things, stomach issues or upper respiratory disorders, need to be lab confirmed. And the best person to talk to about this is Nurse Smith, Tricia Smith. So please, if you, we have to leave the building. We have to stay home when we have symptoms. But when you go to the doctor, please talk to Tricia, because those two things, upper respiratory disorder or stomach issues, will need to be more specific. Number two, if a person is sick over the weekend, why does it take until Sunday night to do anything about it? Okay, so this is going back to the September 21st closure. And I wanted to be as transparent as possible about this. I closed school Sunday night at 8:30. I did not find out about the sick individual until 7:30 that night. So 45 minutes after I knew, I closed school. And that's how long it took to get everything in order. The next day, I waited as long as I could to hold off closing for a second day. So I found Monday night, I found out at 7:45 at night that we could open, and you guys found out at 8 o'clock. So I am as frustrated as you are. I was as frustrated with you are in the lack of communication coming to the district. And we, not just myself, but other area superintendents have done a lot of work to make that flow of information easier. But I wanted to reinforce, I am not holding back any information. When I know, you guys know. And that's what it'll always be. I'm never holding off information. I'm never waiting too long. And so the last one, the elementary model being unsustainable. Going back to our original thoughts about why we started the school year the way we did. And we wanted our elementary kids here every day, and we wanted to have specials. And so it was necessary to break our classes into the smaller groups, which did ask teachers and aides to do more than they ever have before. And what we've already seen is that from the beginning of the school year till now, 5-6 weeks later, things are going smoother. And we are putting more and more resources behind our faculty and staff to help them make this model work even better. But this is the position we're in with wanting our elementary students here every day. So that's the district level. Again, I'm going to remind everybody who's watching, feel free to put any questions or comments in. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Smith.
Thanks, Mr. Harper. So for PK6, things that we're doing well, students, they seem to be very happy and back and are following the guidelines well. I have to say it's absolutely amazing. As soon as they pop up from their seat, whether they be in the cafeteria or their classroom, instantly their masks go on. They have been wonderful at that. And they're reminding each other to stay 6 feet, even all the way down to the pre-K level. They are aware of that. The outdoor classrooms comment that they love that. It's been a great opportunity to allow students to be active learners and to understand learning can happen anywhere and anytime. I couldn't agree with that comment more. Our kids have loved being outdoors and not just having to stay in a classroom. That has been a terrific thing. I'm pleased with the amount of caution and care that is going into the school year's efforts. Absolutely. And I applaud everybody that we work with here doing such an amazing job. Mr. Pollinger and his crew, our faculty and staff, very mindful of keeping everybody safe. things to slow down on. So the first one is switch up the students at 10 weeks. And that is something that we have talked about and that we are planning on doing, that there will be some switches made because we believe in the team model, the two teachers and the classroom aide. And if we switch it up, the students are looking at all of the adults on that team as being their leaders. So I think that's a great suggestion. Outdoor classrooms on rainy days, runny noses and coughs. True, being outdoors in this fresh air can cause some runny noses and coughs. Please know that we're using common sense, that when we come back in from being outdoors, they're not turning around and saying, oh, you have a runny nose and sending them to the nurse. We're allowing kids to come in and get themselves freshened up and be prepared to be back in the classroom. If you get a call from Nurse Smith on your child having a runny nose or a cough, it's not because they just came in from being outdoors. It's because this has been noticed within the classroom after a prolonged amount of time. And last, I'm worried about report cards. Being able to show growth and success is important, but I worry about accuracy when students and staff may miss chunks of time. I understand your concern. I have the same concern. I don't think anything is absolute this school year, unfortunately, but I will tell you that our faculty and staff are working very hard at making sure that they are getting what they need done. Our elementary teachers, example, first grade, you have Mrs. Fox and Mrs. Lewis as the teachers and Mrs. Martin as the classroom aide. The teachers have divided and they're conquering. One does ELA and one does math, and they share the science and social studies. So the teachers are keeping track and they're communicating with each other and with the classroom aide about the children's skills and where they're at and where they need help and where they need to be challenged. So just amazing how they've really come together and are doing a terrific job. And areas to think about and possible changes. First one aspect we need to improve is the consistency on how each grade level is teaching, such as using Zoom or combining students or teachers and rotating. I do appreciate that the commenter said, I understand that not every grade level is the same, and it can be harder for kindergarten to learn one way compared to fifth grade. Absolutely. I don't think it's important that we're all doing the exact same thing right now. I think the important thing is that we are all making progress. And we all had different starting points as far as the capacity. As the commenter stated, a kindergartner did not have that same capacity as a fifth grader, but is everybody moving forward and making great gains? Absolutely. And that's with our students and our faculty and staff as well. Next comment, why is there nothing sent out about the child's teacher? A parent should know who their child has as a teacher and their goals for the school year. Absolutely. We did send out the letters stating what homeroom your child would be in and what the teachers were as far as that grade level team. And there will be more information coming out. And I encourage you to talk to your children and see how their day goes. And there will be more information coming out as well in the next 10 weeks. And despite efforts to avoid it, all new things create extreme stress because a shutdown before we're fluent in new tech is imminent. We understand the stress. We all live it every single day. We can only take one day at a time and do our best. And it's amazing what's going on with teachers switching to classrooms and teaching a lesson 3 times, or now some are Zooming in order to increase the confidence and comfort of our students and hopefully our parents as well.
All right, Mr. Hahn, you ready?
Yep. All right, some things that have been going very well at the high school, junior high and high school level is the cooperation, first and foremost, has been outstanding from everybody. This comment says, it surprised me how well students are cooperating with masks and things like that. It didn't really surprise me because we have really, really wonderful students. We're lucky. You listen to some things that are going on in other areas, other districts. We are so fortunate to have the student body that we have. They make me proud every day. Really, it's rare where I'm out in the halls or interacting with students and I have to say, hey, put your mask on. I can count it on one hand for sure. So the cooperation has been outstanding. The second comment, we do see students that are starting to see work come home. We may have been slower than needed in the month of September. However, it's easier to start slow and build on that than to just open the floodgates and then have an ebb and flow of work where inconsistencies can happen. And when those things happen, there's a lack of a routine that can be formed or not be formed in that situation. So Schoology, our students are doing well with that. We're all continuing to learn together about Schoology. We've only been in it for a month, really, with Schoology, but the kids are adapting well, and the teachers are doing a really nice job as well. Hand sanitizing, yeah, absolutely. It's become part of the routine for the kids. Sanitize as much as you can. Hand sanitize, and wash your hands when you're leaving the bathroom. Wash your hands before and after you eat, entering and exiting a classroom. They've all been doing a really nice job. Some things to examine and consider. The first one, upperclassmen, senior lounge, homecoming, prom, spirit week. Can we still have these events to make our high school years memorable? School year personally has been going great, but for some of us like seniors, we don't get many of the senior privileges. We knew the year would look different, and we're not withholding any of these. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with student government last week in regards to let's start brainstorming for a spirit week and things of that nature. I think our goal is to have all of these events if we can. Senior lounge is difficult just because we truly lack the space this year with having the social distance. And senior privileges, we had said to the students, you have to bear with us for the beginning of the year because we need to see where kids can have those privileges and utilize those. So we're examining those and hope to have those available soon. Again, we hope to have as much as we can for our kids to make it as normal as possible. Second comment, things are going well. Thanks for your hard work making school a safe place. And then the rest of that is, since it is a safe place, let's get our kids back full time. Part-time is just too hard on them. They're not connecting and learning in full capacity. If I could snap my fingers and we could have completely full hallways tomorrow and kids could come 5 days a week, I would do it right now. But, we simply lack the physical space to get everybody back at the same time upstairs. And then the final comment here on this slide is my daughter can't connect her computer to our internet. Something needs to be done. We have a very robust IT department, in my opinion. And I think Mrs. Smith and Mr. Harper agree with me. We are in really, really good shape with that. So if students are having computer issues, please have them come down to student services to fill out a ticket, and then we take it right over to IT and the student gets a loaner. Mr. Booth and his crew are very efficient in getting things fixed. And thank goodness we have them. So again, to summarize, if there's tech issues, please let us know about them. We can't fix something if we don't know about it, and we want our students to be set up so they can have some success. And then some things we need to further examine and improve upon. The top comment there, we didn't know about checking in every day online when we were not in school until until we were 3 weeks into school. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. We once we knew from the state that we had to keep a record, all hybrid models needed to keep a record of attendance every day, whether students were there or not. We brainstormed a lot of ideas, but it took us a little bit to find something that's truly practical. And we've really been pushing this the last couple of weeks. So in summary, if a student is not in school, if it's their day to learn at home, a link is sent out. They have to log in and take attendance essentially for their day. That's for our state record keeping purposes. The second comment there, student 712, many aren't doing work when they're home, either on their at-home day or because they're quarantined. Expectations need to be standardized. We're continuing to work with students about expectations. And then this kind of ties in, this comment is geared towards the bottom box on this screen here, and I said it a little bit ago, but we started very slow. So there's a pretty good chance that the student workload was light for the month of September on their at-home days. We didn't want to overwhelm any students. There's a lot of changes. We've never been a hybrid model before. We've never really pushed so much online or technology at them, but we wanted to set them up to be successful. We just didn't want to say, here it is, go figure it out. So again, slower than needed perhaps, but we're gearing up now, and you can expect to see more work for students on their at-home days, all while it's still being manageable for them.
Need to unmute myself. So after thinking about all of those, the comments, and that was just a snapshot of what we received in thought exchange. We wanted to be clear about what our next steps were for parents and guardians. So we'll each go through our silo here. At the district level, we did a good job summarizing our plans and our procedures at the beginning of the summer. But it's been 5 weeks, and some things have changed. So when we look here, we will be putting together cheat sheets for everybody about what our protocols and procedures are for during the day, for when a student is sick, for when we may need to have a closure. So we'll make sure that those get summarized and resent out. We know we have to do a better job of sharing the school day. Everybody is rightfully cautious about sending their kids to school, about going out during the day, doing social activities. We need to share what it looks like and what our students are going through, because we see it, Mrs. Smith, myself, Mr. Hahn, the teachers, the faculty and staff, we see them enjoying their days. We see them, we see how excited they are to be here, and you need to see the same thing. And the last thing on the district level is that we will put together parent Schoology training, and it'll be elementary specific and high school specific, because some of our parents made comments about their kids don't have work. They have work, and it's increasing. And we want to train you as parents and guardians about how to get into Schoology and see your students' grades, see their assignments. So we will be rolling out those trainings, and it'll be live, very similar to this setup where you can ask questions and it's not just a recording. So please look for those over the next couple of weeks for the Schoology training.
So for PK6, the next step, expectations for student behavior. This is something that every year we would normally do, and just because we've taught something once doesn't mean that we leave it and don't revisit it. So the same is true for precautions for keeping our students safe. So we are reviewing, example would be distance in the cafeteria and not leaning around the dividers and things like that, wearing our masks, reinforcement and review happening on all levels with our kids. Classroom information, as Mr. Harper had touched upon, it's really hard to send your child off to a building all day that you've not been able to come into, that you have maybe not as much information as you would have had other year with open houses, meet the teachers. And so we need to do a better job at sharing information with you so you have a better and more complete picture. And then managing stress. We understand that parents have their hands full and worried about a possible closure, and the expectations for your students in and out of school is a lot. So we'll be communicating that as well.
And then for 712, the first bullet there topic is the same as pre-K to 6. It's student expectations around behavior, and I said it the last time I just spoke, our kids have been really good. They seem to be settling in and know what is expected of them. But I think it's important for us and our students' teachers to reinforce the positive things that are being seen too. So while we're reinforcing expectations around things that students should or should not do, you can do that in a positive manner too by highlighting positive student behaviors. The next one, student responsibilities. We'll continue to work with students. Again, this is brand new to the whole district, this hybrid model for 712. So it's continuing to explain how that should look and what's expected of students on their off day in regards to completing work or completing attendance and learning how to manage their time in a less structured environment in this hybrid model. And lastly, but certainly not least, continuing to, for lack of a better word, advertise to our students that we have a IT help available. We have student services for social and emotional learning for students who are stressed or maybe struggling, and academic support. Our after school study hall just is ramping up this week, where students can go into the library until I believe it's 5:15 and complete work. And it's a socially distanced setup. We have teachers in there who are willing to help and support our students as needed.
So I'll remind everybody watching. We went over some information, but you still might have questions. So please go ahead and throw those into the comments and we can see them. But the last thing that I want to end on is just a thank you again. This is not a stage photo. What grade is this, Mr. Hahn? I can't remember right now.
You can't remember?
No.
It's grade 10.
Grade 10. This is a math class, and there's multiple smiles on those faces. Okay. This is what we see every day. Not staged, I promise. I couldn't, if I told them to smile, they wouldn't smile. So parents, this is what we see every day. Our students are happy to be back. They are working with what we have given them, and they're doing well. But that is a large chunk of the thank you has to go to our parents and guardians, because you are our teammates. You are trusting us to send your kids back, and that comes across with our students. So thank you. We'll stick around here for a minute, see if there's any questions or comments that comes in. If not, we really appreciate your time, and we'll keep working together to make this school year as the best it can be. So thank you again, everybody.